Have you ever stood in front of the mirror, looked at your hair and thought, I need a change? Something fresh. Something that actually works for me now. Not the way it worked at 40. Not the way it worked before everything shifted. Right now. For the woman you are today. If that's where you are, I want you to know you clicked on exactly the right video. Because today we're settling one of the biggest hair debates for women after 60. Bob or Pixie? Which one actually makes you look younger? Which one opens up your face? Which one works for fine hair, for gray hair? For the woman who's done fighting with heavy styles that drag everything down. And here's the thing, this isn't just about picking a cut. It's about understanding which shape does something beautiful for you specifically. Your face. Your hair texture. Your lifestyle. Because the wrong choice, even a beautiful cut on someone else, can quietly add years. And the right one can make you look so fresh, so awake, so like yourself again that people stop you to ask what changed. We're going to walk through 8 real styling options today. Some are bobs, some are pixies, some are that gorgeous in-between place that honestly might surprise you. And I promise you, by the time we reach the end of this video, you're going to know exactly which direction is yours. There's one style coming up later, around style 5 or 6, that women over 60 keep saying completely changed how they feel when they walk into a room. I'm not going to skip to it. You need to understand the full picture first. But stay with me because that one is worth every minute. You deserve to feel good when you look in the mirror. Not someday. Now. So let's get into it together. 1. The soft layer bob that opens everything up. Let's start here because if you've been thinking about a bob but you're not sure it's right for you, this one might just change your mind completely. The soft layer bob is not your grandmother's blunt cut. It's not that heavy, straight across line that can make the jaw look wider and the neck look shorter. This is something different. This is movement. This is lightness. And after 60, lightness is everything. Here's what a soft layer bob actually does for your face. The layers, when cut correctly, catch the light and create this gentle lift. Almost like the hair is lifting toward your cheekbones instead of pulling everything down. For women with fine hair, this is a revelation. Because fine hair in a blunt bob can go flat by noon. But fine hair in a layered bob has texture, it has body, it has that little bit of bounce that makes you look awake even on a slow Tuesday morning. Now the length matters. The sweet spot for women after 60 is typically between the chin and the collarbone. Not too short that it loses its softness. Not so long that it starts to weigh the face down. Right in that lovely middle space where it grazes your jaw or sits just below it, and honestly, that's where the magic happens. And here's something I want you to think about when you go to your stylist. Don't just say, I want a bob. Tell them you want soft layers that move. Tell them you want the ends to bend slightly inward, not flipped out, not harsh. Just gently curved toward your face at the ends. That small detail is the difference between a bob that frames you and a bob that boxes you in. For women with gray or silver hair, which is so many of us now, and honestly beautifully so, the layered bob works like a dream. Gray hair has a beautiful natural texture that layers love. It responds to them differently than it did when our hair was darker. It gets that soft, feathery quality that makes the whole style look intentional and elegant, rather than simply short. What to avoid? If your hair is very fine and flat, skip the blunt scissor cut all the way around. Ask for point cutting at the ends. That's when your stylist angles the scissors into the ends instead of cutting straight across. It removes weight and adds movement without removing length. It's a small ask and it changes everything. 2. The classic pixie with a soft modern edge. Now, I know some of you tensed up a little just reading the word pixie. Stay with me. Because what most women picture when they hear pixie is that very cropped, very short, very androgynous cut from decades ago. And that's not what we're talking about at all. The modern soft pixie is something completely different. Short, yes. But it's not severe. It has length on top, sometimes quite a bit of length on top, and it's cut close and clean on the sides and back. And that combination does something remarkable for a woman over 60. It reveals the shape of your head. It exposes the neck in this elegant, graceful way. And it opens up your entire face so that your eyes, your cheekbones, your smile become the whole picture. Think about that for a moment. After 60, one of the most common things that happens is that heavy hair around the face starts to close everything in. The weight of the hair pulls downward. And when everything is pulling down, the face follows. The jawline looks heavier, the cheeks look lower, the whole thing just starts to sag visually. A soft pixie cuts all of that away. And what's left is you. Just you with nothing pulling the eye away from your best features. Here's the thing about maintenance, because I know that's on your mind. A pixie does need a trim more often than a bob. Roughly every 4 to 6 weeks to keep its shape clean. But here's the flip side. Your morning routine becomes almost nothing. Wash a tiny bit of product, a few seconds with your fingers or a small brush, and you are done. Women who make the switch to a pixie after 60 often say they didn't realize how much time and effort they were spending on a longer style that honestly wasn't doing much for them anymore. If your hair is thinning on top, which is so common after 60 and nothing to be embarrassed about, a soft pixie can actually be your best friend. Your stylist can leave more length and texture specifically on top to give the illusion of fullness. And the shorter sides reduce the overall weight, so what you do have on top looks abundant by comparison. It's a visual trick that works beautifully, and women who discover it wonder why they waited so long. 3. The feather bob, where softness meets structure. This is where the bob gets interesting. Because if you've always loved the idea of a bob but felt like it was always just a little too stiff, too structured, too much, the feather bob is going to feel like it was made specifically for you. Feathering is a technique. It's the way the hair is cut and styled to create those soft, wispy pieces that frame the face, especially around the temples and the forehead. And for women over 60, those pieces around the face are not just decorative. They are doing real work. They're softening the hairline. They're drawing attention to the eyes. They're creating this gentle, almost romantic frame that makes the whole face look warmer and younger without trying hard. Women with fine hair, listen closely here. The feathered bob is one of the most forgiving styles you can choose. Because feathering removes bulk while adding the appearance of fullness. It's almost counterintuitive. You'd think removing hair would make thin hair look thinner. But feathering is strategic removal. It takes away heaviness in the right places so that the remaining hair has room to actually move, breathe, and behave beautifully. Now here's what I want you to tell your stylist if this is the direction you want to go. Ask for face framing layers. Ask specifically for the pieces around the temples and the front of the ears to be cut softer and lighter than the rest. Some stylists call this whispery framing, some call it face framing feathering. The term changes, but the idea is the same. Those light, almost see-through pieces at the front of the hair are what make this style look modern and soft rather than dated. Because here's a truth I want you to hear. There's a version of this cut from decades past. The very heavily feathered, very voluminous, very sprayed helmet style that does age women. That version holds on to the 90s in a way that works against you now. The modern feather bob is the complete opposite. It's natural. It moves. It catches light. And it makes you look like a woman who is entirely at ease with herself, which honestly is the most attractive thing any of us can wear. 4. The textured pixie that works like a miracle for thinning hair. Okay, I want to talk specifically to the women watching this who have been quietly struggling with thinning hair. Because so many of you are, and so few people are talking about it honestly, and you deserve real help, not vague cheerfulness. After 60, hormonal changes affect hair density in a way that catches a lot of us completely off guard. You might notice more hair in the brush, more scalp visible at the crown, a ponytail that feels much thinner than it used to. And it's scary, honestly, because your hair is so tied up in how you feel about yourself, how you feel when you leave the house, how you feel when you look in the mirror. And when it starts to change, it can feel like you're losing something that mattered deeply. Here's what I want you to know. You have more options than you think. And one of the best, genuinely one of the most effective solutions for thinning hair after 60, is the textured pixie. The textured pixie works because it removes the long, flat, visible sections of hair that make thinning most obvious. When hair is long and thin, it lays flat against the scalp and shows every bit of the thinning. But when it's cut short with deliberate texture, small strategic variations in length across the top, it creates the illusion of density. Each piece looks intentional. The scalp is less visible. The whole style reads as full and styled rather than sparse. What makes this different from a regular pixie is the intentional texture. Ask your stylist to use a razor or texturizing shears on the top section specifically. Ask them to create pieces, small sections that fall at slightly different lengths so the top of the hair looks layered and full. And ask them to leave the crown area with just a little more length than the rest, because that added length at the crown gives you a touch of height, and height equals volume when hair is fine. One more thing. A tiny bit of lightweight volumizing mousse, work through slightly damp hair before you let it air dry or use a small round brush. Just a little. Will lift the roots and keep that texture looking intentional all day long. You don't need a lot. You don't need a complicated routine. Just enough to remind your hair which way is up. 5. The angled bob that takes years off the jawline. We're halfway through, and I want to pause for just a second and say, if you've been saving a screenshot of a cut you love but you've been too nervous to try it, I hope this video is giving you a little bit of that courage. Because you deserve to feel excited about your hair again. Not anxious. Not uncertain. Excited. Now, the angled bob. This is one that I get asked about constantly, and for good reason. Because when it's done right, it is one of the most face-flattering cuts a woman over 60 can choose. Here's how an angled bob works. It's shorter in the back, sometimes quite short, close to the nape of the neck, and it gets longer as it comes toward the front of the face, ending somewhere between the chin and the collarbone on each side. That angle isn't just a stylistic choice. It's doing something very specific for your face. It creates a visual line that draws the eye forward and upward, toward your eyes, your smile, the best parts of your face, rather than straight down toward the jaw. For women with a softer jawline, and that's most of us after 60 because it's completely natural for the jaw to soften with age, the angled bob does something almost like contouring with scissors. The longer pieces at the front draw the eye away from the jaw and toward the center of the face. It's not magic. It's geometry, and it works every single time. If you have a rounder face shape, ask your stylist for a steeper angle. The more dramatic the length difference between back and front, the more it elongates the overall look. If your face is already longer or more oval, a gentler angle, just a little shorter in the back, will give you the benefit of the style without making the face look too long. And here's my favorite tip for this cut specifically. Ask your stylist to keep the back very smooth and close, but add the slightest bit of texture and softness to the front pieces. So the back is clean and polished, and the front has that little bit of movement that softens the whole look. That combination, clean in the back, soft in the front, is honestly one of the most elegant things I've ever seen on a woman over 60. It looks intentional, it looks put together, and it looks effortlessly youthful. 6. The wispy pixie that softens everything around the face. We're at style 6 now, and I told you at the beginning there was one coming that women over 60 keep calling life-changing. This is it. The wispy pixie. Not because it's the most dramatic cut on this list. Actually, it's one of the most subtle. But subtlety, when it's placed in exactly the right way, does something that drama never quite manages. It makes you look like yourself. Just a softer, fresher, more peaceful version of yourself. The wispy pixie is different from the textured pixie we talked about earlier. Where the textured pixie is piecewise and deliberate, designed to create fullness, the wispy pixie is lighter, more feathery. The ends throughout the cut are thin to almost nothing, so the whole shape becomes this gentle, floating, weightless thing around your head. And around the face specifically, around the forehead, the temples, the ears, the pieces are kept fine and wispy, almost like the hair is barely there, and yet it's doing so much. What that wispiness does for the face is remarkable. It blurs the edges. It creates softness right at the boundary between your hair and your skin. And when the edges of your hairstyle are soft, everything inside that frame, your eyes, your complexion, your expression, looks softer too. It's the same reason a soft vignette makes a photo more beautiful. Soft edges draw the eye to the center. And the center is you. Women with fine hair who are nervous about a pixie, this is your version. The wispy pixie is literally designed for fine hair. It doesn't need volume or density to look beautiful. It uses fineness as a feature. Your fine hair becomes the thing that makes the style look this light and airy and elegant. That thing you thought was working against you? It's actually the thing that makes this cut look better on you than it would on someone with thick hair. Ask your stylist to use a razor throughout, not scissors. The razor creates those feathery, thinned ends that give this cut its character. And if you've never had a razor cut before, I want you to know it's gentle. It's quiet. It's one of the most beautiful tools a stylist has. And the result, that ethereal lightness, you're going to look in the mirror afterward and feel like something lifted. 7. The stack bob that adds volume where you need it most. Now here's one that's quietly become one of the most requested cuts for women over 60 in salons. And if you haven't heard much about it yet, pay close attention to this one. The stacked bob. Sounds architectural, and in a way it is. But the result is anything but stiff. A stack bob is cut with more layers in the back, specifically at the crown and the nape, so that the hair in the back builds up and curves outward in a rounded, almost three-dimensional shape. And then the front stays longer, framing the face. From the side you can see this beautiful silhouette, full and rounded in the back, smooth and long in the front. And that shape does something very specific for the overall look. After 60, one of the changes that can happen quietly is that the hair at the back of the head starts to fall flat. The crown loses some of its natural lift. And that flatness at the back doesn't just make the hair look thinner, it makes the whole head look smaller, and the face by comparison looks larger and heavier. The stacked bob fixes this without any heat tools, without any extra products, without any effort. The cut itself builds the volume in. You wash and dry and the shape is simply there. For women with naturally straight hair that has always gone flat, especially at the back, this cut is one of the most practical solutions you'll find. And for women with a little natural wave or curl at the back, the stacked layers encourage that texture rather than fight it, so your natural movement becomes part of the beauty of the cut, rather than something to tame. Tell your stylist you want the graduation in the back to start high, closer to the crown rather than lower on the head. That placement gives you the most visible roundness and lift at the top, which is where you need it most. A lower graduation gives a different look. Still nice, but not the same fullness at the crown that makes this style so transformative for women past 60. 8. The soft pixie bob, the best of both worlds. We've saved one of the most exciting options for last. And I want you to really hear this one because if you've been going back and forth bob or pixie, this might be the answer that makes the whole debate irrelevant. The pixie bob, or sometimes called the pob, it's not fully one or the other. It sits right in between. And that in-between place, it's where some of the most beautiful hair transformations after 60 live. Here's what a pixie bob actually is. It's shorter than a traditional bob, usually sitting just at or slightly below the jaw, but it has the close-cut, clean nape of a pixie. So you get the youthful neck-exposing quality of a pixie without committing to the very short overall length. And you get the face-framing feminine softness of a bob without the extra weight and length that can drag the face down. What makes this style so special for women over 60 is the neck. I want you to think about this. When the nape of the neck is clean and close, the way a pixie keeps it, the whole posture looks more elegant. The neck looks longer. The shoulders look better. And there is something about a clean neckline that reads as put together in the most effortless way. You don't have to do anything for it. The cut does it for you. And if you're worried about commitment because going from a longer style to something this short feels like a big leap, I want to offer you this. The pixie bob is one of the most forgiving lengths in terms of growing out. If you decide a few months in that you'd like more length, you grow the front out a little and you naturally migrate toward a fuller bob. Nothing is permanent. Nothing is irreversible. But the decision to try it, that might change everything. Women who make this switch often describe a feeling they weren't expecting. Not just that they look younger, though they do, but that they feel lighter, freer. Like they let go of something they've been carrying for years, the weight of the hair, yes, but also something else. The idea that short hair was giving something up. Because you're not giving anything up. You're stepping into something. Something lighter and cleaner and completely beautifully yours. So, 8 styles. 8 ways to say I'm still here. I still care about how I look. And I know what works for me now. Whether something on this list felt like a quiet yes, or whether it gave you the language to finally describe to your stylist what you've been trying to ask for. I hope this video did something useful for you today. Because you deserve that. Useful, honest, real information that treats you like the intelligent, beautiful woman you are. Here's what I want to leave you with. The bob and the pixie are not opposites. They're not competitors. They're 2 different paths to the same destination. Looking fresher, feeling lighter, and walking into your 60s and beyond with your head held high and your hair finally working with you instead of against you. If you took anything from today, let it be this. The right cut is not the most popular one. It's not the one your friend has or the one you saw on someone younger. It's the one that opens your face, suits your texture, fits your life, and makes you feel like you when you look in the mirror. That's the one. And it exists. And now you have a much clearer picture of where to find it. Don't be afraid to take this video to your salon. Screenshot the styles that called to you. Tell your stylist exactly what you saw and what you loved. You are your own best advocate when it comes to your hair. And you deserve a stylist who listens. And to the women watching who have been putting this off, who've been saying maybe next time, or after the holidays, or when things slow down, I want you to hear this gently. There's no better time than now. You don't have to wait to feel good. You really don't. You belong here. In this sisterhood of women who refuse to disappear quietly. Who choose to show up beautifully, honestly, and unapologetically, at 60, at 70, at 80, and beyond. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe to Timeless Wisdom Path.